I recently purchased this Bible called a Cepher. I was looking at the introduction for the mark and it was very interesting. I wanted to share it. This is from the Cepher.net website. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth that had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is chi stigma." I liked the preface description of it. I thought it was helpful. It says the most interesting correction in this text, however, is the correction made in Chazon, which means revelation, 13:18, which restores the original Greek letters to what has been interpreted for the last 400 years as 600 6. And then it quotes the King James Version, which says just that. It goes on to say, however, there are no numbers, but rather three Greek letters, chi, stigma. These letters found in Strong's Greek Dictionary 5516 are defined as the 22nd, the 14th, and an obsolete letter, 4742, as a cross of the Greek alphabet, intermediate between the 5th and the 6th, used as numbers denoting respectively 600, 60, and 6. 666 as a numeral, 603 score and 6. Stigma, Strong's Greek Dictionary 4742, is a word from primary stizo, which means to stick. Means a mark incised or punched for recognition of ownership, i.e., figuratively a scar of service or mark. For example, a stigmata, or in another instance, to stigmatize. The translators say they elected to restore the actual picture of the mark as it was seen by Yochanan, or John. I'm going to take a slight detour looking at the word stigmatize, but we're going to come back to finish reading this in a minute. The dictionary definition even includes this. Option number 2 for verb says to mark with stigmata. The synonyms for the word are blemish, blot, brand, disfigurement, disgrace, dishonor, imputation, mark, odium, onus. The word odium means a general or widespread hatred or disgust directed towards someone as a result of their actions. And onus is used to refer to something that is one's duty or responsibility. I wanted to understand it further what it meant to be marked with a stigmata. A Google search brought up Encyclopedia Britannica. It says, according to the Roman Catholic Church, the presence of stigmata is a sign of mystical union with the suffering of Christ, and a genuine stigmatic must have lived a life of heroic virtue. The first example of the alleged miraculous infliction of stigmata occurred in St. Francis of Assisi. What exactly is the stigmata of St. Francis of Assisi? It happened in the year 1224. 2 years before he died, St. Francis of Assisi went to a mountain called Mount Alvernia to prepare himself by 40 days of fasting and prayer for the feast of St. Michael. This says, on the feast of the exaltation of the Holy Cross on September 14th, St. Francis received in his hands, feet, and side the sacred wounds from our Lord's own body. Never was a saint more beautifully loved by Jesus than St. Francis of Assisi. This goes on to say the wounds Jesus gave him stayed in his hands, feet, and side and continually bled for 2 more years until he died in 1226. The day he is said to have received these wounds was September 14th. This day is now commemorated by the Stigmata of St. Francis on September 17th. Researching a little bit more about the impression of the Stigmata of St. Francis, it says that St. Francis of Assisi had a vision of a seraphim. A seraphim is from the word seraph, meaning a fiery serpent or a serpent, a poisonous serpent. Another meaning is a majestic being with 6 wings, human hands or voices in attendance with God. A separate description said after he had this vision, his flesh was impressed with an exact image of the crucified, as though after the melting power of fire it had next been stamped with a seal. The mountain where this took place is called Laverna. In Latin, it's Alverna. The sanctuary is built on top of the place of the worship site of an ancient goddess by the same name. She was said to be the protector of thieves and refugees. She had an altar on the Aventine Hill and a grove on the Via Salaria. Aventine Hill is one of the 7 hills in Rome. It's too early to say whether that's connected to Revelation 17:9. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. The other location that has an altar named after her is the Via Salaria. That name in Latin is the word for salt, like remember Lot's wife. In addition to being the goddess of thieves, cheats, the underworlds, and refugees, she was propitiated by libations poured from the left hand. Libation is a ritual pouring of a liquid as an offering to a deity or spirit in memory of the dead. The practice of offering libations is still used to this day. What jumped out at me is this happened during the feast of St. Michael, and it made me think of Daniel 12:1. The NIV says, "At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. There will be a time of distress such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered." Published April 5th, Pope marks 800th anniversary of St. Francis of Assisi's Stigmata. It says, Christ's wounds are signs of his love and a call to reach out with his love to the, quote, stigmatized, those who bear the scars of the sufferings and injustices they have endured or the mistakes they have made. If you're not aware, the current pope has chosen the name Francis of Assisi. Although few people talk about it, the Pope has set up something called the Economy of Francisco. At one time, the website for the Economy of Francisco said they wanted to, quote, give a new soul to the global economy. Unfortunately, that statement has been taken down. If you Google it, it will come up in some Google searches where it's picking up some old references to his economy giving a new soul. Revelation 18 references the fall of Babylon and how no one buys their goods anymore, and one of the commodities mentioned was the souls of men. That's where Babylon falls, and the merchants of the earth weep and mourn because no one buys their cargo anymore. If you'd like to go and read that, it's Revelation chapter 18, verse 13 specifically talks about the souls of men. September 17th, we'll have this feast day coming around again. This year, September 17th has a partial lunar eclipse. A website called returningtothegarden.com has the days for the Zedekite calendar. September 17th is called a day of transition, a day out of time, and September 18th would begin the Feast of Trumpets on the Zadok calendar. Their website describes the Tekifa Day as needing to be added at the end of each season in order to keep the number of days in each season and the year divisible by 7. Another website likened this to Psalm 19:6. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The word for this is tekufa, the same word, coming round, circuit of time or space, a turning a circuit. Finishing up with the reading, the phrase gets even more complicated when you consider the translation of the term arithmos as number. According to Thayer and Smith, Greek lexicon entry for arithmos, the New Testament Greek lexicon, the term arithmos means both a fixed and indefinite number and an indefinite number or a multitude. Some have described the x in the algebraic equation x plus 1 as being arithmos, for instance. The Ivrit word found here is Cepher. The term also means number in this application.
Daniel 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.